everyone. Laura here with your weekly medicine reading. We're looking ahead at the three energies, themes that are coming up in the course of the next week. And the first energy that we have here is the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords is this energy of transition. It is an energy of moving onward. And typically it comes when we are being put into a situation that we're sort of coming into our next stage of evolution. We're coming into the next cycle of our growth and harvesting new life experiences in order to achieve that growth. So a lot of times there's a sense of ending that is coming with this. It can be one that we have maybe embarked upon and helped to create of our own volition. And other times it can be something that is happening and feels like it's being pressed upon us. It feels like it's beyond our control, and maybe even it is something we wouldn't have chosen for ourselves. So even when we're in, say, a desired change or transition, the energy is still the same in the sense that there can be this sense of loss, even if it's a desired evolution, even if it's a desired progression that we say we are going to a new job and we're leaving behind another, or we're making personal changes so that we can become the best version of ourselves. And yet we mourn the old ways of being. Maybe even still have ties of comfort or, security attached to them. And so there's this sense of needing to hold a certain level of space for whatever it is that we may be feeling from what it is we're moving on from, desired or not. But also, when we look at situations in life that feel like they're beyond our control or that they're not desired and they're being impressed upon us, we want to still hold space for what we are feeling and what we're thinking and all the different, little traps that our mind might be going into and getting caught up in. We want to hold space for that. We don't want to necessarily try to sort of be cruel or be hard with ourselves. But at the same time, we want to hold space for the reality that when we have, sort of taken in everything that we were meant to take in a area or way of being or in some aspect of our lives, when that has dried up, those lessons, that vitality, that sense of possibility, and we've taken or extracted the evolution, the growth, and what have you, the lessons that we were meant to, then it is only natural that it is time to move on. Because typically with the Six of Swords, it is moving from one shore to the other, but it's typically moving onward to something that can be even better. It can be even better than anything that we perhaps are leaving behind. But knowing that and being able to really access that, especially with an undesired change or a difficult change or transformation, it can feel very difficult to get access to that, to really hold on to that truth and have it actually be something that seems like a consolation or seems like it's soothing. We want to still hold space for that, but we don't want to get too upset with ourselves if it just doesn't seem to really have the impact, knowing that, you know, as much as we may not want that old relationship to end, or as much as we may still find a sense of security with those old ways of being, we still want to at least entertain and begin to bring in the essence of remembering that things can be even better on the other side. Things can be different. Let's hold the curiosity for things to reveal themselves. The other part of this card and in the energy it carries that is pulling at me a bit is to remember that we don't always have to be in control. And whether it is working with somebody, leaning on somebody to pilot or to captain our ship to get us to that next place, that next stage of our life, our next cycle, or if it is just simply surrendering to what is and having the grace to surrender to what is. In both of the form, those two forms, we want to relinquish a certain level of control. We don't need to do it all. If you feel overwhelmed by the amount of change or the amount of things to do as you come into this week. Don't try to be everything. Don't try to do maybe what's not in your wheelhouse. Be willing to delegate, be willing to even ask for the support that you need from others. And don't be afraid of turning to your helpers, your guides, your mentors if you feel a little taken under by recent changes and endings as you go through this transition. But also, regardless of whether you know precisely where you're headed, regardless if you even understand what life is going to be like now that you have this change, this transition underway, you don't have to necessarily know. You don't have to have every little, part on the map mapped out or marked. Right now might be a time where you're called into the void and you're called into a place of surrender. When we look at the next energy at play, the Knight of Cups is this beautiful, very tender energy of remembering that even when life feels a little sticky, it feels a little thorny, we don't have to then be in a hardened state, not with others, not with the aspects of life we're interacting with, and certainly not with ourselves. When we look at the Knight of Cups, the energy that comes through most often with it is an invitation for us to be kinder, softer, more nurturing towards ourselves. How can we begin to entertain the idea that whatever is going on in our world right now within our being, that there's still something to have love for, to shine brightly? How can we come into this space of what do I need right now to feel nurtured, to feel held? Where is there sweetness in my life that I can maybe give myself a taste of? It's this energy of knowing that even in what appears to be really dark skies, there's always light available. Can you find it? Can you even just remind yourself that it's there and remain open to it for life to show you where that light still exists? And then it comes into the Sun card towards the end of the week. And this is definitely about change, transition, new beginnings. It's usually pretty large change, but it's this sense of rebirth and transformation that's possible. And this seems to be a very running theme, to have two transformational energies bookending our week. It reminds us that even if it doesn't always feel like answers are available to us, even if it feels as though, okay, I'm in the midst of this transition, things are a little hectic, they're a little thorny, so I'm trying to nurture myself, but how does all that translate into progression? How does that answer the questions that I have that I can't seem to quite figure out? The Sun card is saying that, even if the vitality, even if the fun and the happiness and the joy that we oftentimes associate with the Sun card, and even, days where the sun is shining, it's a reminder that the answers for getting to that place of having greater access to that, they are available to us. They are coming down to us. So even if you don't feel at the end of the week that you necessarily have everything figured out, maybe you only feel like you've made a teeny bit of progress, it's really not the time for you to drop into any sort of hardness or any sort of stickiness with how you're treating yourself, but to understand and look for and just have a curiosity. If you think about kids, being that there is one on this card, children learn a lot through play. They learn a lot through exploration. They don't necessarily, have to have concrete answers. They sometimes will ask 1,000 questions about 1,000 different things. And that's really, it's not so much the question as it is more of that curiosity. So can you just begin to play a little bit more with life, even in a space where the fun of it all doesn't feel as accessible? The more we can have that curiosity, that childlike wonder, the more that we will be open to and receive the answers, the illumination that we are seeking and perhaps feel in even greater need for as we have these very transformational energies bookending our week, both with the Six of Swords and the Sun card at the end of the week. So clearly, there is a lot that is being unearthed. There are many of us who are undergoing very real, personal, inner and outer transformation and journey. And the medicine is ultimately to stay in a place of wonder, a place of sweetness, a place of finding pockets where we can be sweet to ourselves through our words, our actions, through the thoughts that we are thinking, and the ways in which we can really open ourselves to our child again, and we can play a little bit with what life has to offer us. It may not be, all footloose and fancy free, but that doesn't mean it's any less precious. So I hope that this reading helps you go through the next few days. I want to hear how all of this is landing with you, and certainly what sorts of transformation or transitions you find yourself embarking on this week. And as always, I send you all my love. Mwah.